My name is Randall W. Turner. I've been making blades for about 30 years, but I also make all kinds of other utilitarian objects. I make handrails, I make grave markers, I make squirrel roasters. I've never actually roasted a squirrel with them. It just sounds good.
My name is Dave Cato. I spent 4 years in the Marine Corps and then 30 years as an air traffic controller. The most important thing in my life is to crush my enemies, to see them fly before me and hear the lamentations of their women. That basically came from Conan. That's a movie quote.
My name's Gabe Mabry. I split my time between bladesmithing and teaching at a state penitentiary. Even though I only have 3 years experience, I think I've done enough blades, I've put in the work, and I was excited at the underdog's chance at winning.
My name is Joshua Fikencher. As much as I like to make blades, I also enjoy making my own steel. The best way to describe what I do is modern-day alchemy. I take base metals and I transform that to something that's pointy and stabby.
Bladesmiths, welcome to the Forge. You're here for 3 rounds of edged weapon making competition designed to test every aspect of your skills in front of our panel of expert judges. Ultimately, these men decide which of you will be the Forged and Fire champion and leave here with that check for 10 grand. So let's meet them now. ABS Mastersmith, Jay Nielsen. Historic Weapons Recreation Specialist, David Baker. Edged Weapons Specialist, Doug Markida. All right, gentlemen, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Today, you'll be making signature blades in your signature style from this. 1971 Mercury Cougar.
Oh my God, it's a car. Damn it.
This thing's rusted out piece of junk. I'm really worried about making a quality blade out of this.
Typically, this is a 4-hour challenge. However, the judges and I believe we need to up the ante, so today you only get 3 hours. Keep in mind that in the second round, you'll be putting handles on your blades to turn them into fully functional weapons that will then be tested for strength and durability in a muffler stab and for edge retention in a car mat slice. There will be no design period during this first round of competition. Good luck, bladesmiths. Your 3 hours starts now.
Who's the first to check the air in the tires? That's about how much I know about cars.
Which metal would you go for, Jay?
With leaf spring, it's good 5160 spring steel. It's thick, it's almost in a bar stock form already.
You know that with a car, it's either springs or axles. In a car that old, both of them are probably shot. Screw it, leaf springs. We break up the groups of 2.
So it looks like Josh and Gabe are working together to free up those leaf springs.
I naturally gravitate towards things that have curves in them. So I'm making a Persian-inspired recurve fighter. I have the personality of a 36 grit belt sander because I am god-awfully aggressive as hell. Awesome. I got my steel. Gabe can have the rest to himself.
Gabe and Josh work together. And Josh, he's actually got his steel free. I think that's fairly interesting, considering how much help he got from Gabe.
You didn't cut the U-boat.
And he's just taking off with his steel.
Yeah, Josh is worried about Josh.
Josh fails on me. Some friend you are. I do not use a lot of recycled steel. I like to use new steel so that I know that there's not going to be any issues. My design for the blade is a fighter Bowie hybrid chef's knife. My friends and family think my bladesmithing career is great, but my niece makes fun of me, says I'm too cheap to just buy a knife, so.
At one time, I imagined this was a really nice car. It's not so nice anymore.
Yeah, that day is past.
The car smells like ass. I don't know if it had vagrants living in it, maybe, or mice. It just stinks to high heaven.
Nah, it ain't gonna come off until you cut that off. You want me to do it?
If you can.
I've never taken springs off of a car before, but I know that leaf springs make excellent knives.
Dave and Randall having a little bit of trouble with their leaf spring.
Get another blade. I think I'll make a straight edge sax. The design is good for piercing and for cutting. Throughout the years I've been making knives, I'm almost exclusively used hand hammers. So when all else fails, use a big hammer.
There we go.
You got some? You got what you want?
I believe so.
When one designs a blade, one has a function in mind. So I'm going to make a slicer that should be able to cut a car mat and pierce a muffler. I don't like using recycled steel because when I was first learning, I did some dumpster diving and I pulled out a coiled spring. I took it to my mentor and he hit me in the head. He literally hit me in the head and said, throw that away and don't ever do that again.
Dave didn't forge the tip in. He cut a preform tip. This is forged in fire, not chop sawed in fire.
This is not something I would normally do. But the challenge is what it is, and I will simply have to make the best of it.
1 hour has elapsed. You have just 2 hours remaining to finish your work.
The more I work this steel, the more I realize that my design isn't working. Okay, it's got no recurve.
Josh kind of struggling with his steel.
Josh seems to be upset about the world.
Okay, on the fly, design change. I'm gonna give it a nice front belly, and it's gonna look really badass, and a nice big slicer.
Those hammer blows from Big Blue on his tank, it's alarming.
Josh's use of the Big Blue is a little erratic.
And then over here, Randall is just doing a great job. Look at that thing.
You know, I've had anvils smaller than that hammer.
Look at the size of that hammer. You know who else is moving right along? Is Gabe. Gabe has already hammered the tip into his buoy-esque design.
I have a generally forged shape that I'm pleased with, and I put a false edge up the tip. That might help out some extra stabbiness.
Gabe, boy, he can move some metal. And that false edge you put in makes for a great stabbing knife.
I would think that if I'm stabbing a muffler, I want something that looks more like a spear point.
Yep, because it needs to penetrate and survive.
I've got a rough profile, so I'm going to the grinder because I've got to get a good edge profile on my blade.
I'm enjoying watching Randall. He hammered that blade down very thin, very, very good hammer work. He's actually putting a hollow grind in, which is a nice change of pace.
I'm not crazy about how he's doing it, but I'm glad he's doing it.
Why?
Well, I see these large sweeping motions as opposed to slowing down, being precise, so you can actually see what the grinder's doing to the surface.
Usually I grind very slowly, but in this contest, I can't really do that. I've just got to try to hog away as much metal as I can and hope that I don't make a mistake. The grinder is much more powerful than my own grinder, and I cut way too deep.
Oh, no.
My blade is now uneven, so that means I'm gonna have to cut off a lot of the shape of my knife just to get it even. So I'm going to be grinding some more, and some more, and some more, and I'm losing time.
Randall's gone to a flat. He's trying to fix the unevenness of that blade.
It's getting thinner and thinner every minute.
Yeah.
2 hours has elapsed. You have just 60 minutes remaining to finish your blades. Thank you.
Dave's been on the grinder for a second, and his blade's really starting to take on a shape.
Some people find bladesmithing therapeutic. I don't. It doesn't make me better. Actually, it makes me worse because I'll throw stuff and yell at the dog. I can feel myself getting a little frustrated because the grind is not going as quickly as I would like. So I have to get a little more aggressive with the belts, even though I don't want to.
Uh-oh.
Dave, you all right?
Giving you the stink eye.
I have a resting face, but I'm really not unpleasant.
What is with that weird hump on the back of that blade?
Josh ground a lot of shape into it. I just don't understand having an extreme sweep in a stabbing test.
Okay. I have 40 minutes left to play with this. I'm happy as a pig in a blanket. God, did I just actually say pig in a blanket? I'm pretty sure I just did. Oh, listen to that. Yes, okay. I have a hardened blade.
I file test my blade several times because I'm paranoid about it being hard.
Oh, I like it, man.
It's not as scimitar-y as yours is.
I'm pleased with my blade shape. Now, what I am concerned most about is the heat treatment. If you don't have a temperature-controlled kiln, you have to eyeball it. But I'm in a bright forge. I can't see the transformation shadows that will tell me it's time to quench. So I have to guess.
There you go. Dave just quenched.
He's counting.
Counting it out. There you go.
It's not as hard as I like. I failed in the first attempt. I still have time. So I'm going to repeat the process.
And Randall does not look happy. His blade has gotten very, very thin.
I really don't like the shape of the blade. The edge geometry is a little off because of my grinding mistakes.
I'd like to see him quench before there's not much of that blade left.
I'm always the most nervous getting ready for the quench.
Randall, man, I just don't know what he's shaking his head about at this point.
Well, he's thermal cycling the blade. Obviously, he's just not happy with those grinds.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bladesmith, shut down your machines, drop your tools. This round is over.
I feel happy that I didn't screw up majorly. I've done about as good as I can, and I feel confident that it's not a potato, which is what I'm going for.
Bladesmiths, in just 3 short hours, each of you has salvaged steel from a junk car to forge signature blades in your signature style. Now it's time for the judges to take a closer look at your work. Josh, you're up first.
I like the dimensions of your blade. I think that curve is really pretty. Though, having that trailing point for a stab test could be something that gets in the way. There is a warp in your blade. It's like that spring decided it wanted to be a spring again.
Gabe, you're up. Please present your work to the judges.
Gabe, I like the shape of your blade. You've got that false edge in there to help with penetration. You're a bit on the lean side, but it doesn't need to be a big boat anchor to be strong.
All right, Dave. Please present your work to the judges.
Well, Dave, your blade is very straight. It's clean work, but the issue I have with your design is your tip. We are doing a thrusting test on this. That's pretty much as far as you're gonna go in. The rest of that's gonna be stopped by how stout your blade is. If this moves forward, I hope you fix the angle of your tip.
Randall, you're up. Please present your work to the judges.
Randall, your forging technique on drawing this blade out was textbook. Pleasure to watch that. When you got to the grinder, I was really hoping you were going to put a large hollow grind on this.
It would have given it a razor edge with the support of a thick spine.
But then you started flattening it out. It just crushed me.
Your edge is out of alignment, and this knife is thinned out. I mean, it's been on Nutrisystem for about 6 months now.
All right, bladesmiths, while the judges go into deliberation, I'm gonna have you leave your blades here, and please step off the forge floor.
Well, that sucks.
It'll be fun, they said.
All right, judges, is there a bladesmith whose work in the first round puts him automatically into that second round?
Yeah.
Yes. Which one was that, do you think?
That would be Gabe's.
All right, let's move on to Dave.
As far as the forging goes, I think he did the minimum, and that tip is so rounded. It's not shaped for stabbing.
This doesn't even have bevels grounded. There's easily 1/8 of an inch, if not more here, that hasn't even been touched yet. So there's several issues.
All right, let's move on to Josh's blade.
This particular weapon is made to slash sideways or diagonally. It's not meant for stabbing. The spine is not in line with the force behind it, so that could be an issue. There is a warp here, significant enough to see it not even go flat on the table.
I really just want to hear what they're saying.
Let's move on to our last bladesmith, Randall.
This one kills me. It looked like a classic sax when he forged this out. Once he got on the grinder, it went from being a sax to being disappointing.
His plunge grinds are way off. And then the other big issue is his edge. It's thinner here than it is up here.
Yeah.
And I really don't think there's enough meat left to be able to fix that problem. It's too thin.
All right, judges. Doug, have you made your final decision?
Yes, I have.
Dave?
Yeah.
Jay?
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's go tell our smiths. Bladesmiths, The judges have completed their deliberation, and it's time for one of you to leave the forge. Randall, your blade did not make the cut.
Randall, your forging skills impressed all of us up here. You pretty much forged your blade into shape. But when you got to the grinder, it cost you so much material. And with grinders, there's no going back. Your edge is uneven, and the only way to fix that is by grinding even more. And there's just not enough material here to do that. And for that reason, we're letting you go.
Randall, please surrender your blade.
I kind of knew this was coming. The mistakes I made during the challenge threw me to the bottom of the heap. It's a little disappointing, but gave it my best shot. Probably my best advice to the other bladesmiths: try to avoid making mistakes.
Bladesmiths, congratulations, you made it to the second round. Now that your blades have been tempered, it's time to turn them into fully functional weapons by attaching handles to them. When the time runs out, your weapons will be tested for strength and durability in a muffler stab and for edge retention in a Karmat slice. However, due to the fact that we're stabbing a muffler, you must incorporate a guard into your blade's design. You will have 3 hours in this round. Now, you can use that time to address flaws and issues that were identified in your blades. Good luck, bladesmiths. Your time starts now. We've got 3 bladesmiths that have to now put guards on blades that they hadn't planned on putting guards on.
Surprise, incorporate a guard to the design.
This is something I've not seen the bladesmiths do in a round 2, like grab some paper and start drawing out some design.
Yeah, that's called oh crap paper.
I do not typically make blades with a guard because I make kitchen knives, so. So I decided I'm going to do a U-guard. Figured it would be the easiest. My weld's not pretty, but hopefully she'll hold.
In round 2, I have this additional challenge. I need to correct the issues that the judges identified.
Dave needs to reprofile his tip, add a guard, add a handle, and put an edge on that blade.
Basically, he's got to make a knife.
He's got to make a knife.
I need to thin out and drop the point a little bit so it will penetrate metal. It's time for some thrilling heroics.
I have a pretty bad warp, and the judges didn't like the design of my blade for the muffler stab. But I don't have time to fix both, so I'm not going to worry about the stylistic issues. What I'm really concerned about is fixing the warp. I just hope this isn't a bad idea.
You have 2 hours remaining to finish your work.
The most important thing is to have a nice, secure handle so nothing comes flying apart during the testing. So I'm using G10, but I realize there's a gap between the handle material and the guard. So now I get to find a spacer to throw in. Glow in the dark. The general thickness of the spacer that I need, and the glow in the dark stuff seems to be about the right size. Turn the lights out. Let's look at my blade.
I think I addressed all the issues. I've got a good, strong point. Now I have to put a guard on it. Unfortunately, the bandsaw doesn't seem to be tracking properly. I can't get an accurate cut. No time to fix that. I have to start filing the slot by hand. My arms are burning, my muscles ache. I'm 62.
Dave looked up and he looked like he wanted to hit some of us with a file.
It looks like the notch is only about a 1/4 inch deep.
It's got to get all the way to the spine.
I'm worried about running out of steam, but I've got to get it done, and I simply can't quit. Goonies never say die.
I've gotten the warp mostly out. Now it's time for me to attack the guard. There is no good way in a really crazy time crunch to fit a good, decent guard. I have this piece of what I think is mild steel, and I can't get through it. Why is that? There's a famous saying that no battle plan survives first contact with the enemy. Plan B, I'll cut it with the portaband.
I don't know if Josh knows how to use that portaband now.
Well, we'll find out shortly.
Crap. If I can't get through this either... Well, that sucks. Okay, plan C. I'll take the brass.
So Josh has grabbed a bar of brass.
He's going to find something that'll work eventually.
nothing is working. If I turn in a blade that does not have a guard on it, I am going home.
This guy's gonna lose a finger. Can't watch this.
Nothing is working. The definition of idiocy is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. I know, hands down, the one material that I can definitely drill through it is plastic.
You turn into a plastic guard?
Easy.
Easy peasy.
You don't think that's good? Plastic guard?
We've seen
My
it.
toy knights have them.
But it's probably the crappiest material that I could choose. But at least I'll have a guard.
You have just 60 minutes remaining.
The guard cost me an hour that I didn't anticipate. Thank goodness. My slab handle grinds quite easily, but it looks like something a baby excreted after a dinner of creamed corn. I'm afraid I'm not going to get this thing done in time, but that is a self-defeating circuit. So I have to put the clock out of my mind and just do the job.
My handle looks really good, I think, but I need to get this sharpened.
Gabe's blades look quite the shiny piece.
I think I can win Forge and Fire because of my even keel nature. I'll stay calm, cool, and collected.
And we got hair shaven.
Oh, good, good.
And a lot of hair, actually.
My blade is scary sharp.
Oh,
Shaved up the mold.
the Boo-Boo Brigade is on the floor.
I'll take a Band-Aid, I guess.
I spent way more time than I should have working on my guard. Now I have to focus on getting the handle right, but there's gaps between my plastic handles and my guard. Best way to fill up the gaps is with epoxy. My handle's blue. I'll mix up blue epoxy. No one will ever notice.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bladesmiths, drop your tools, secure your blades, and return to your anvils. This round is over.
My blade is finished. It's got a guard on it, but I wasn't able to address everything that the judges said. I hope that won't send me home.
Smiths, welcome to our strength test, the muffler stab. This is gonna be painful. I'm gonna take each of your blades, and I'm gonna stab quite violently into these steel mufflers 3 times. I'm not concerned about what your knives do to these mufflers. I wanna see what these mufflers are gonna do to your knives. Dave, what do you think?
I'm ready, sir.
Let's go have some fun.
I'm so nervous right now. Did I change the geometry enough? Is it going to pierce the muffler? I just don't know. I wish I had worn my brown pants today.
Well, Dave, everything stayed tight. Nothing's knocked out of alignment. The handle was actually comfortable, but we definitely got a lot of roll right here. It's not on the very tip. It's about ½ an inch back. That is a concern. Gabe, how you feeling?
Go nuts, man.
Don't tell me that. Okay, it punctured well, but you did lose some edge up here on the tip. Can catch it with my thumb, so it's definitely rolled over. But overall, did very well on the test.
Thank you.
Josh, you ready?
As ready as I'll ever be.
All right.
The stab test is the most difficult test for my blade design. I'm hoping they can puncture through.
Well, Josh, the design is not meant for this test, and that was never addressed. I can't stab straight down with this. I have to stab at an angle to get that point in because the tip is coming up. You did have a warp going down your blade. It did actually bend a little bit more, but overall, it did survive the test, and it did stay together, so good job.
I feel disheartened. However, my blade survived through the test, and I should excel in the slice test so long as my blade is sharp enough.
Bladesmiths, in keeping with the car theme, I will take your blades and test its sharpness by slashing through these car mats. Dave, you're up first. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Let's do this.
Nice. Wow.
All right, Dave. Despite being a stouter blade, your edge is fine enough and sharp enough to lacerate through the car mat. Overall, sir, your blade's edge will cut.
Thank you.
Good job. Gabe, your turn. You ready?
I'm ready. Go nuts.
Let's do this. This feels good in the hand. When I slashed through this thing, I barely felt any kind of resistance at all. Your blade, sir, will cut. Good job.
Thank you.
Josh, your turn. You ready? Let's do this.
It would have been nice if somebody's blade didn't cut through. It would have made my challenge a little bit easier. Both of them slice right through. It makes it tougher for me.
Well, Josh, you definitely have a slashing profile to your blade. The way you have your edge allows me to lacerate with no resistance. Your handle, it is a little bit on the spindly side. If I continued more cuts, you can tell it's probably the type that would start to rotate on you. But your blade will cut, sir.
Thank you.
Bladesmiths, the judges have completed their deliberation and they've made a final decision. It's time for one of you smiths to leave the forge. Josh, your blade did not make the cut.
Yeah, Josh, the strength test is what really hurt you. The curve of that blade made stabbing into that steel a real hindrance. Plus, you already had a warp, and you actually picked up more of a bend in the strength test. So those are the reasons we're going to let you go.
Josh, please surrender your blade.
Feel a little bit disappointed. Obviously, I didn't bring my A game. But even though I didn't win, there's things that I've learned about how I make choices, about how I act under pressure. And that in and of itself is a win.
Dave, Gabe, congratulations. You've made it into the final round of this competition. Now we're sending you back to your home forge to recreate an iconic weapon from history. The yataghan. The yataghan was prominently used by elite infantry soldiers in Ottoman Turkey from the 16th to 19th centuries. Revered for its extreme lightweight and lethal forward curve, it was a quick and deadly slicer, while its strong tapered tip made it a powerful thruster. It also featured a unique yet practical pommel that contained flared-out ears to prevent it from slipping from the hand in battle. A fierce and respected weapon, the yataghan was most notably wielded by Suleiman the Magnificent, the longest-reigning sultan of the Ottoman Empire. Your yataghan must include a forward drop at the point, a bolster, and a double-eared pommel.
The handle has these flared ears, something. It does not resemble anything that I have ever made before.
You will have 5 days at your home forge to complete this challenge. After 5 days, you will return and present your weapons to our panel of expert judges. Only after they've tested them and inspected your work will they declare one of you the Forged and Fire champion, who also leaves with that check for 10 grand. Good luck, bladesmiths. We'll see you in 5 days.
Good luck.
I've been assigned to make a yataghan. I don't know how to spell yataghan, but here I am making one. I've never made a blade this long, and I've never made one that requires such an ornate handle. So I'm nervous. This is going to have to chop through a pig, a thigh bone, maybe try to cut through Will's biceps, I don't know. I'm going to make it to cut. I think I've got the curve right. I think I'm sitting pretty. Gabe, my competitor, is a very competent smith, so hopefully I'll have a blade that will stand up and equal or surpass his.
I'm making a yataghan, a crazy cool slashing looking sword. It's very important to get the rough shape today. If I do not get the rough shape knocked out today, then that'll throw the rest of the 4 days way behind. I don't have a power hammer or a forging press, so I have a lot of work ahead. This is my power hammer right here. I think I'm the underdog. Dave's got the upper hand. He's been doing it for a lot longer. It's his to lose, I think, and I hope I'm gonna come in there and sneak and take it from him. I really like the shape. Dave, you're going down, buddy.
Today, the plan is to make my mokume billet for the bolsters and the ornamentation that goes on the side of the blade. Mokume technique in Japanese means wood grain metal. It's laminated nickel, silver, and copper. And I'm squeezing them together under high heat, and they should bind to create an interesting pattern in the steel. All right, that's for later. It's quite time-consuming, but I think the end product will be worth it, assuming it takes. It's hot. Now, I see if I've got a viable billet. Yes. Not molten, also a good sign. This better be worth it.
One thing I'm concentrating on the most today is making sure everything is symmetrical and getting ready for heat treatment. Feeling a little nervous, you have some things out of whack, and it'll pull. That's one way you can cause warps. But I'm praying and hoping that's not an issue. I've got the sword in the kiln. Everything's prepared. Took extra time to make sure everything's flat and true. Hope everything comes out nice and hard. If the heat treat does not go well, I'll be chasing my tail for hours until I'm called back up to where I need to be. So it's very important. Has developed. I have a nice warp. I don't have time to make another blade. I have to fix this warp, or I have no shot at winning. Plant the blade in a position so that the warp is overcorrected, and hopefully it'll fix itself in the temper. Otherwise, I have no idea what I'm gonna do.
The mokume came out great. It was worth it. And yesterday, I quenched the blade, and it came out straight and hard. Today, I'll start working on the ebony handle. So that to that. I chose ebony because it's really pretty wood. The material's a little brittle, but I think it should be just fine. I'm not really sure if I got this thing fitted properly. I'm gonna hope for the best right now. Success. I would like the test to be on a banana, a nice soft banana. But I suspect it's gonna be a giraffe or a fire hydrant or a cuckoo clock. I don't know what they're gonna come up with. I hope it does well.
I fixed the warp as best as I possibly could. Goal for today is to be dialed in on the handle. I'm going with this marble wood. It's already square. It's got some width so that I can sculpt in the ears. We are all together. This sword I have dubbed Dumbo because it looks like an elephant. Everything's come together. It's something I'm proud of. Let's go whack something, shall we? Pretty clean cut. Call that a day.
Bladesmiths, welcome back to the forge. You've had 5 days at your home forges to work on your yatagans. Dave, how did it go?
It was grueling, but I got it done. I used W2. I used ebony for the handle. I used mokume gane for the fittings.
Gabe, how did it go for you?
It went pretty well. My yatagan's made out of W2 as well, and the handle's sculpted out of marble wood, one solid piece.
They look fantastic, but we know what comes next, and that's the weapons test. Up first, the kill test. Doug?
Bladesmiths, to see what kind of lethal damage your weapon will do, I'll take your yatagan and deliver slashes and thrusts on this ballistics dummy. Dave, you're first. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Let's do this.
I'm so nervous right now, and I'm just hoping my blade will perform well.
It's got bowels dropping out everywhere.
Let's talk about your weapon, Dave. It follows the feel of a yatagan that's supposed to be light and deadly. The edge you have here is sharp, where it's curved in to lacerate. Your yatagan will kill.
Thank you very much.
All right, Gabe, your turn. You ready?
Go nuts, man.
Let's do this.
Dave's blade performed seemingly really well. Guts falling out of the thing and blood everywhere, so a little nerve-wracking knowing they'll have to at least measure up to that.
All right, Gabe. It is so light, it really feels like it's not there. It's almost scary. When I thrust, it penetrates easily and slashes down. Overall, sir, your blade will kill.
Thank you.
I think we cut quite similarly. I would prefer to be ahead, but right now I feel like we're neck and neck.
All right, gentlemen, this is the strength test. To test the strength of your weapon, I'll be chopping into these bones 6 times. Dave, you're up first.
Hacking bone is a very difficult thing to do with a thin edge. I'm aghast knowing what's going to be coming.
All right, David, that's a tough test. Those are very thick bones, but what we've got going on here is a lot of chipping and distortion on your blade. We've also got a major crack in your handle. It runs right up through the pins. All right, Gabe, your turn. You ready for this?
Go nuts. I'm looking at the damage that his blade received, and I'm looking at my blade, and they're constructed very similarly. I have this 1.2-pound sword. I'm worried that the blade's gonna blow up.
Okay, Gabe, the convex edge you've got on here is pretty much the perfect edge for a test like this. Sharp and strong. I can feel just the smallest amount of a roll. Nicely done.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, next up, the sharpness test. For that, I'll give it to Doug.
I have edge damage. I have handle damage. It's disheartening, but it's not over yet.
Bladesmiths, to see if your blade is still sharp, I will take your weapon and slash through these silks. If your blade is still sharp, it should cut cleanly. If not, it may rip or tear, or worse, do nothing. Dave, you're up first. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Let's do this. All right. I love the balance of your blade. I like the way it curves in, but you can really feel the edges now. It's serrated. It hangs up with silk. But then on the last piece, just when it's nice and taut, you can lacerate and cut through it. Overall, your blade will still cut.
Thank you.
All right, Gabe, it's your turn. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do this. All right, Gabe, your blade is so light, you're barely like cutting through air. I glided through this, lacerated, and of course in the finishing cuts here, cut easily through that silk. It cuts. Good job.
Thank you very much.
Bladesmiths, you both created remarkable finale weapons, but in this arena of competition, there can only be one Forged and Fired champion. And that champion is... Gabe, congratulations. You are the Forged and Fired champion. Dave, your weapon did not make the cut.
Dave, you brought us an outstanding weapon. That Yatagan is fantastic. But during the strength test, we lost structural integrity in the edge of your blade and in the handle with both scales fracturing. And those are things we obviously can't overlook, so that's why we're gonna let you go.
Sure.
Dave, please surrender your weapon.
It's exactly what I expected. It was very difficult testing, but I'm still the guy with the cracked edge and the broken handle. It's like going out with a beautiful blonde and finding out she has BO, and my blade has BO.
Gabe, congratulations. You are the Forged and Fired champion and will be receiving a check for $10,000. Good job. I've never seen anybody less stoked about getting 10 grand in my entire life. Won't you please present that weapon to the judges?
Feels great to be the Forged and Fired champion, but I'll do my celebrating behind closed doors. I felt like I was the underdog, but underdogs win sometimes, I guess.